Yeah, yeah. By the way, have you seen her living library conversation?
I
So
have so much catching up to do.
yeah, no. See, now if we were doing this with the living library question, I would say yes. But in this topic of conversation tonight with the mental health and the spirituality, just basing it on this conversation, that's why there was resistance. So yeah, so thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right, so let's hold that up one more time. Okay, so do you feel like the collaboration has been equal? I'm a high two now after you make that case, Ray. I'm a high two, a high maybe two,
I
four.
just want to say that I was going to say the same thing because
Mhm,
sometimes, especially in groups like these, it's a lot easier for some people to share than for others.
mhm,
And you actually almost need sometimes some people who can just be in silence and hold that space, especially for those of us sometimes who like for me, the way that I process things and with my ADHD and all of that, sometimes
mhm.
it's really hard for me not to talk. Like
Yeah.
I struggle. So it's kind of nice to have other people in the group who are comfortable being silent because then I don't feel
Mm,
crappy about talking as much as I do. I don't feel like I am, I don't know, like taking advantage of the like or like monopolizing the situation too much when I
mhm.
start to pick up and notice that there are some people that are like will share when they really have something to share, but the rest
Mhm.
of the time they kind of just like to observe. It's
Yes.
nice for people like me to have people
Yes.
like that in the group because
Mm,
doesn't feel like, oh my God, shut up, stop talking. Why are you talking so much? Like, stop it. So that's why when you asked that question and then said what you said, for me, I was like, no, I don't agree. No, I don't agree. I appreciate the quiet people. It's helpful for people like me.
yes. Beautiful. Very, thank you. And thank you for sharing that and validating that, Kylia. Thank you. I also wanted to say something to what you said, right? Do we value holding space? And the answer is yes. Absolutely. I mean, I'm just speaking for myself. And I will take accountability and responsibility in that, yeah, I'm pushing you guys through this process a little bit. And that's that's because I do want to honor, I do want to honor everyone's time. And yeah, I will take responsibility for kind of trying to push things along a little bit, but sometimes what's just needed is just to slow down and take the space and take the pause. So thank you. And thank you for asking that question, which I really appreciate. All right. So the next question is there a respect? And I'm going to say, let's direct this one outside of our little group here. Do you feel like you are able to better respect someone else's level of awareness or perception? So awareness is the value. And to me, awareness is kind of more of the myopic ones. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly clear on what we're gauging as awareness here is. But do you feel like through this kind of discourse or through this kind of conversation that you're able to respect someone else's awareness or what we might think of it, not that it's higher or lower, better or worse, but their level of awareness. Thank you, Kavi. Yeah, I think I'm getting there. Thank
Do
you.
you
Thank you, Beth.
think that if somebody is lacking awareness, that we can still respect them?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna be a maybe on that.
Okay, great. All right. All right. Doing great. All right. Does this topic strongly spark your curiosity? Yep, great. Yeah, curiosity is something I feel that I think only people with curious minds are attracted to this kind of discussion. Um, do you feel comfortable holding people accountable? Do you feel comfortable holding people accountable? Yeah, yeah, that's where I'm at too.
too comfortable. Way, way too comfortable. It gets me into trouble.
Yeah, yeah. So, what is your official response on that, Kylie?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Okay. Okay,
It,
good.
it's a problem.
Okay, okay. No, that's great. No, I love that. Yeah, I love that awareness of it. Yes. Um, so do you feel like you understand the intersection of mental health and spirituality enough to be completely authentic? I think yeah, I'll go with that for now. I think there was a lot of authenticity here without crossing boundaries, I think. So that's what I'm sensing into this. Um, does having this conversation completely aligned with your understanding of integrity? So have we been in alignment with integrity tonight? Thank you, Matt.
Have you clarified that?
Yeah, yeah, because that's really where we're understanding what our own perception of integrity is. Do you feel like do you feel like integrity has been demonstrated tonight? Okay, thank you. Yeah, yeah, me too. And we're going to have a little bit of time. We can go into what's coming up for everybody here. Does will this do you feel like you've been able to express yourself creatively through this topic? I'm almost there. I want to still do that theater company. Okay, so, okay. All right. Do you foresee conducive for all to be included equally? Okay. Yeah, that's very similar, but maybe different. Um, if you were to bring this topic or this conversation out to others, are you confident that everyone would be equally included? I'm still a maybe on this because I try to practice it in other environments, and when there's not that appreciation and not that time invested in relationship, it could go either way. So that's been my experience. Thank you, Beth. I also got your response there.
My answer is yes, because
Okay.
so I do this, first of all. Like,
Yes.
I do this.
Okay.
And my thing with this is I will make space for anyone who wants to be included to be included.
Hmm.
I can't control if someone chooses not to be or decides they've been excluded for whatever reason. I don't
Hmm.
have control over that.
Right.
I know that I can step out and facilitate these discussions, open the doors for these discussions, bring people in to have these conversations, and I will do whatever I can to make
Hmm.
sure that everyone can participate, can be included within like rational, reasonable things. If other people choose to be like, oh well, because so and so's there, because such and such, or da da da, that's out of my control. That's not on me. That's a decision that they are making. So that's why it's a yes.
Yep. Great. Thank you. Thank you. What I'm hearing is that you're directing the question more intrinsically, internally, rather than holding an expectation for someone else outside there. That's what's alive for me in response
Yeah,
to that.
I've had a lot of time over the last little bit where I've had a lot of situations that have showed me that I can't control what other people are going to do and say. Like, I can't. And I can't expect anybody else to operate from my mind frame of what I think is appropriate, what I think is okay, what I think is fair. The
Yeah.
only person that can hold accountable in that situation is myself. Like, it's
Yes.
literally just me. And so now I'm kind of living my life upholding my own boundaries,
Mhm.
having my own expectations and not putting them on other people. If they choose to rise the occasion, fantastic, great, we got this. If they don't, not a whole lot I can do.
Right. Yeah. And that's letting go. That's surrendering. That's acceptance. Yeah. Great. All right. Last question, and we can spend the next 20-25 minutes kind of looking ahead after this one. But realistically, do you feel this topic inspires unconditional love? I think if anything, this one does for me. Thank you, Becky. Yes. Mhm. Okay, great. All right. So now that we did that, let's do a perception check. Check in with everyone. What's alive for you at the moment now that we've done that? Now, thank you for doing that with me, because this helps me to measure what I need to be looking at as far as including others, and as far as what might be nurturing for just the five of us. So I am very grateful that you all are willing to engage in this process with each other and with me. So that's what's alive for me. So what's your honest truth? And I'm glad we're taking that pause. I'm glad we're taking that pause.
One of the things that is alive for me, I'm still kind of stuck on that question um, about, having conversations with other people like outside of this group.
Mhm.
Because I think while like I agree with what Kylie said in terms of my own ability to um, come with openness and authenticity and all of that, I'm not sure, like you said, if groups can do that, especially right off the bat. Like, there's like a journey that you go on with
Mhm.
group of people. Um, and there's a reason why we didn't bring anyone new into this group, because we're doing this thing together, and
Mhm.
it kind of disrupts things when you have a new person in the mix. It's like all of a sudden,
Mhm.
oh, do we feel safe to say that thing because there's this new person and we don't know them, kind of
Mhm.
thing. And I think having the living libraries, obviously I haven't watched all of them, but I feel that even without those, there is a sense of like trust that we've built over time.
Mhm.
But with those, I feel like it's even more, because it's like we can understand more deeply where everybody's coming from,
Mhm. Mhm.
which I think is a huge part of awareness. Because in some ways, like you can't really be aware of what's going on for somebody unless you really know where they're coming from. And there's certain guesses that you can make, there's certain assumptions you can make based on
Mhm.
people's appearance, how they present themselves, things like that.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, you don't really know until you get to know them.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, I mean, maybe the awareness is being aware that you're not aware of who's in
Mhm.
the room, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, what I have to offer up in response to that, Ray, is we're in a way we're rushing through these six conversations. In a ideal world, and as we're developing as well, you can spend hours and hours in just appreciation. And that's what it really takes to build that trust before you can even get into a dissent conversation, which is why I think we do ourselves a great injustice when we jump into groups and try to have these conversations, where trust has not been established, where no attention has been paid to appreciation. And so I mean, forget possibility, forget invitation. People jump right into dissent, and they're looking for a fight. They're looking for a conflict, to justify their strength. But yeah, absolutely, it takes. That's why I'm really I'm really hoping for the living library, because the vision for that is, let's just spend as much time as possible one on one or in small groups of three, and just work on those appreciation, those deep listening skills. So that's what's alive for me in response to that. Pat, go ahead.
Oh, I thought I'm muted. And to piggyback on what Ray said about um, people wanting to take part in the conversation, it's my job to talk about spirituality and mental health, like it is Kylea, in a different sense, though. But in the end, what I say, it doesn't. Not I'm gonna say it doesn't matter, but whatever happens with my congregation is between them and God. And I can't make them take part. I can only encourage and hopefully inspire or empower them, but I can't make them do it. So anyway, what Ray said resonated with me. You can want to have the conversation, but you can't make people do it. And it's really hard work. So yeah, they have to want to heal and want to pay attention to their mental health in an effort to do that. And whether that's done in a spiritual way or more traditional medication way, whatever helps. But anyway, they have to want to do it. So.
Yep. Any other reflections about what's alive for you? What's alive for you after considering those values?
Hey, Mike, can I switch gears just for a second? I wanted to answer Nini's question about community.
Sure.
I'm watching this thing on Netflix about David Koresh and the Branch Davidians in Waco. That is a cult. That guy was dangerous. Everything centered around him.
Yeah.
He literally like took other guys' wives and had sex with them and stuff. And they're like, they're not your wife anymore, they're mine. He did whatever he wanted and they let him. They literally thought he was the Messiah. That is very, very dangerous, and that ain't community.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when you said that, I just like, oh my God, I'm just watching about a cult.
Yeah. No, I've
that is not community. People in community have the free will and should have the free will to discuss things together and in a way that they're comfortable and not be brainwashed into thinking a certain way or just following one person. So I had to comment on that while I still could.
Yeah, no, that's great. No, thank you. Yeah, I have done some deep research on that particular moment in history as well too. But yeah, I think it's really about being sensitive to power over when somebody is exercising power over, rather than what I think of as being in alignment with universal principles or natural law, which is the natural law of divine oneness, meaning nobody is above or beneath anybody. We're really just all aspects of divine source. And if we can really respect that and see that in each other, even when we have disagreements, even when we are full of challenging emotions, to me that's kind of where the line is drawn. When people don't have a say and it becomes a dictatorship, that's when it becomes more of a cult, and it's not good for mental health. It's really not.
I just wanted to make a note that one of the things that came up for me when you were talking about the group and trust and things like that is that in this particular group, there's a lot of personal connections and also like people who've been in groups before, like you and I were in a group before. Kylie and I are best friends for like forever. And you guys have connections there. So in a way, it's almost like because of our trust in the people that we already do trust, like for example, I trust you, Michael. So then by proxy, I trust the people that you trust. And like Kylea, trusts me, and so by proxy also trusts that I'm not going to bring them into a space where like they
Mhm.
wouldn't be able to trust those people. So I think that that is an important part of this particular group
Yeah.
that I wanted to acknowledge, that because we already have this sort of sense of trust, and because we kind of knew somewhat what we were coming into and why we were here and how we wanted to grow together, that it's different than a group that has maybe never done this before or has never met before, things
Yeah.
like that. It can be very different.
Yeah. 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 And I think that's also a testament of, spending time and appreciation of each other. Yeah. 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 What comes up for me as well too is that, there's five of us here, and we started with eight. And what I've learned, through experience is that, when two or three meet, that can be very powerful and very focused. Five, as you can see here tonight, that's sustainable. When you get a little bit more beyond five, that's when people start to feel alienated, or they start to feel like, they feel like they're not a part of it, or there's those personality clashes as well too. So I wanted to kind of make that observation, that based on my experience doing this kind of pattern integrity for about 3 years now, that that normally is what happens. Is you start off with a group of eight or more, but then it usually kind of whittles itself down to about four or five. Yeah, yeah. Right. So we are 20 minutes before the hour. I wanted to also do a perception check on where everybody's hearts and minds are at, just moving forward with this. How to complete this. So I talked a little bit about what my healing project is, about healing community through the spoken and written word. My sermon, Beth, and I really wanted to share this with you in particular tonight. The sermon that I'm doing a 4-year study on is about natural law and the forgiving of all debts. And when I say the forgiving of all debts, I mean the forgiving of all monetary debts. So that's where the time banking and the reverse market mechanics and all this stuff I'm doing on the money side of things comes into play. So what we're working on, yes, Jubilee, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what Randy, my friend Randy Hayden, had described it as Jubilee. Yeah. So what we're working on is the matrix is really kind of like the whole chirotic flow about all of the parts of the pieces that I feel need to be in place to see that happen on that macro scale. And that's something Nini and I talked about as well too, is what are the practical steps about upscaling this, but still maintaining the integrity of what these groups are about. So what I would like, and I'd like to check in with everybody to see if this is, if this is doable. I would like to go until July. So rather than do our commitment conversation in June and complete the cycle, I'd like to do another one of these responsibility conversations and focus on the living library aspect, which is really just the same thing as what we discussed tonight. We're still focused on spirituality and mental health, but more looking at the culture of one-on-one or groups of three, in conversation about it. So I'd like to do that in June, and then in July, I would like to, I would like to wrap it up and really just have a closing conversation about what this journey has been like, complete the matrix, and really just really kind of give our final thoughts and final analysis and final intentions at that point. Um, I'd like to first ask, does that sound doable? And I'd like to give everyone. Beth, I wanted to ask you how you were feeling about that, because I know that you had expressed some concern over that plan.
Yeah, I'm thinking that tonight's going to be my last meeting.
Okay. Okay. I'm sad. Very sad about that.
Okay, I want to be in touch with you still, Mike.
Okay.
but I think I need to focus on my church, and this isn't in my wheelhouse right now.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm going to check out after tonight.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So I think I saw a thumbs up from Kylia, Ray, and Becky. Okay. Very good. All right. So then we will talk about meeting again in mid-June. And yeah, so what is really left after that is scheduling a one-on-one conversation between each of us over the next 2 months, and we'll do the other portions of the matrix because we're just going to focus on living library next month, and then we'll do our closing out conversation. But I'd like to do the other 4 topics in the matrix just one-on-one, and we'll just fire them off, yes, no, maybe. Does that sound like a good plan for Ray, Kylia, and Becky? Okay, great. Thank you. All right. All right, very good. Okay, so we are at the end of tonight. So we'll just do a checkout and just do the final questions. What did you appreciate about our time tonight? And what are you curious about exploring in general in the future? So it doesn't have to be about what we do together, but in your life as well. So what do you appreciate and what are you curious about?
I appreciate everyone's willingness to be like honest and authentic and transparent and say things that might sometimes be like a little bit uncomfortable or like maybe in other scenarios or settings might not always have like the best reception.
Mhm.
This is probably going to sound really strange, but I'm in like this deep sort of dive focus on sociopaths, psychopaths, and serial killers right now.
Mhm.
And it's also like my special interest just in life. But I'm kind of like really interested in looking at the astrology aspects behind those like 3 different groups, and kind of like what their charts say and indicate, just to see if there's like any like correlations or things that you can see within their birth charts that kind of like speak to a little bit about like experiences they've had and like roads that they ended up traveling on. And just I'm just like very very curious about it because
Mhm.
there's just like certain traits that I know about certain zodiac signs,
Mhm.
that when put under the right level of duress can be a very 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 scary thing.
Mhm.
But it's interesting because not all the zodiac signs, even under those same level of duress, would go to that place that certain signs will go to.
Mhm.
Um, and so I'm just like, oh, just like watching the interactions between the different, um, yeah, very much like cult leaders, very, very
Mhm.
much so. Yeah, it very much is this space where there's just certain like planetary alignments. There are certain like sign interactions, like depending on like your sun, moon, and rising combination alone, that can that personality combo that it kind of creates, coupled
Mhm.
by like environmental factors, can very easily lead you down the road of cult leader or
Mhm.
mass murderer, serial killer. And so yeah, that's kind of where
Yeah.
my focus is for the next little
Yeah.
while.
That is very brave and very intriguing work, Kylie. I can see us doing living library conversations on that, and I think that would appeal to the Circle of Miracles community as well too. So, let's keep that on the radar, and I'll let you pass it to whoever you want to next to check out. What did you appreciate, and what are you curious about?
I'm going to pass it to Beth.
Great, awesome.
Thanks, Kylia. I really appreciate everybody's perspectives and questions, and curiosity about the subject, and the deep wisdom that is coming from places that I'm not familiar with. So I appreciate all the different perspectives. And this is just the kind of thing I talk about in church, that We are all loved by the divine, and that we are all different, and that's okay. And it's very, very hard. I'm actually preaching on this on Sunday, how hard it is to accept the idea that God loves each and every one of us, really and truly, no matter what we've done or what we've said or who we've hurt. God's justice is different than human justice. So anyway, I appreciate all of you, and I hope to take away from this experience the ability to talk more about mental health and spirituality and how healing the whole thing can be. But you have to be willing, and you have to be willing to look. So thank you all for spending this time with all of us.
Thank you, Beth. If I were to put together a maybe just a day type of retreat where we really discuss spirituality and mental health, would you be open to joining us with that, Beth? Great. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, great. All right, and why don't you pass it to either Becky, Ray, or me?
We'll go with Ray.
Thank you. I'm really appreciating like the depth that we went to with the questions that you were asking. I appreciated the clarifying and the stories that were shared. It was really interesting to hear from everyone. And then I have my curiosities are all in my tabs at this point. So I have this question of a spiritual director, which Beth mentioned, and it's actually something I've been racking my brain to try to remember. Because my midwife, the last midwife that I had, I remember it was mentioned that she was a spiritual director in addition to being a midwife. And I remember thinking, what is that? I have never heard of this term. And I looked into it at the time, and then I sort of forgot about it. And recently I've been thinking about it as I've been thinking about what I want to do and then the direction that I want to go. And I'm like, what was it called again? And then when Beth said that, I was like, that's it. So I have a tab up. I'm looking into that. And then I have Thomas More that I'm going to look into. So I have some curiosities to guide my searching this week.
And we'll go to Becky.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna pass it.
I also really appreciate everyone's perspectives. And looking forward to the last few conversations.
Great, thank you, Becky. Yeah, what I appreciate most is just the honesty. I mean, the real honesty and the real just to me the real connection. As I said in my email earlier today, my hope is that we'll share this journey with others who are interested in learning how to facilitate this process. How to create a living library. Whatever topic they're interested in. So I just really appreciate kind of these moments we've had that I'm hoping will be preserved and be appreciated by others as we go about the rest of our journey and the rest of our lives, whether that's together or on separate paths for the time being. What I'm most curious about is I'm very curious to see if Amy and Michelle are going to review these, and I'm curious as to if their journey is also still with this completing this cycle. I know Nini will be. She'll be watching this, and we'll be debriefing as well. So yeah, so I'm just curious as to where all the other moving parts are at the moment.